Hey, it's been a minute. Sorry, I gotta turn the ringer off on my phone. I'm currently in the DMs with a sugar mama, maybe for a new video. I don't even know at this point. But yeah, I thought I was done with music reviews, but nope, here I am, 2 in a row. I've already done 3 reviews in the past. Links to a playlist can be wherever you find them. I don't know. Today we're doing a different album though, this time Alone at Prom by Tory Lanez. That's a request from my brother Michael, so Michael, thank you for that. But yeah, generally speaking, if you want me to review an album or just talk about anything in general, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm happy to take a look at it. Yeah, but this time we got Tory Lanez, another artist I know next to nothing about. He's from Ontario, as am I, so in theory I should know more about this guy than I do. But even as someone from the same place as him, I can honestly say I never equated him to being synonymous with the culture. Definitely not in the same way as Drake, that's for sure. I don't know, Tory Lanez was never on my radar musically. He did that one freestyle on that live stream. He did that verse on the Jack Harlow remix. That's as much as I know about him. I never knew Tory Lanez could sing. I always thought of him as a rapper, so I'm curious to see what he does here. All of my music reviews thus far have been rap reviews, and that's in part because I don't listen to rap music, so yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective for YouTube. But today you're gonna get a pop review from a guy who actually listens to and likes pop music, so yeah, I say we just get into it. As is the case for all of my album reviews, we're going to go track by track for the whole album and then just kind of unpack all of my thoughts at the end. Yeah, let's go. He can sing. Okay, so this is like a full-on 80s pop throwback. I was not expecting that at all. This is like a modern take on Careless Whisper. What? Actually, after saying that, I just looked this up because the song is no longer on Spotify. I was curious why it got taken off of streaming services. I guessed it perfectly. Apparently, he literally sampled Careless Whisper and then didn't get the rights for it, or the permission, or whatever. So yeah, they just took it off of the platform. That's insane. Just get the permission, and then if you can't get the permission, use a different sample. Honestly, a very cynical approach to this record would be like, oh, you're just stealing from other artists, this is bad, this isn't real music. Me personally, I don't care about that. I like sampling, I think it's cool so long as the song is interesting, or in the best of cases, expands upon this music for a new generation. I made a video about how I love Silk Sonic for that very reason, check it out if you'd like. Anyway, back to the track itself, we start with this kind of thunderous rumbling, and then like the track just doesn't want to waste your time. Bam, right in with these big 80s bass notes. We have these kind of delicate, light 80s pads over it. It's cool. It's a cool contrast. Okay, I just gotta get the elephant out of the room. That's Tory Lanez singing. He sounds completely different than I thought he would. It is insane. I didn't know he could sing, especially in this context. I am very impressed. Why is he a rapper and not a singer? Well, I guess you can juggle both, and there's no harm in doing that, but even still, like, wow. The instrumental is great, the singing is great. I do have some issues, though. As for feedback here, these vocals, yes, they are good, but they're kind of smothered in this delay and reverb that in my headphones specifically don't sound all that great. Actually, I think the whole track is mixed kind of poorly. Everything is just so dense, the mix is so muddy to the point where I can't make out what he's saying. If the track had more space to it, I think these reverb and delay effects that are put on the vocals would make a lot more sense. 80s music in the past has proven that a well-mastered track can sound big without smothering your headphones in sound. At the end of the day, it doesn't ruin everything for me, given that the chorus is so great, given that the vocals are so great, given that the instrumental is so great. All in all, though, it's a great song, very catchy, very powerful, very 80s. This is a banger and kind of a perfect way to start off this album, if you ask me. So now we're just going like full-on 80s synthwave, vaporwave, what have you. It's cool. I'm kind of a sucker for that fake 80s sound. Like a lot of 80s music didn't actually sound like this, but I think it's still cool nonetheless. Again, no complaints on the instrumental. I think it sounds sweet, and I'm just gonna say this now. I think all of the instrumentals on this record are pretty awesome. This song, though, right away is not as big of an earworm as Enchanted Waterfall. To that point, I'm not really that crazy about the verse and the verse melody. I think he starts too high in his vocal range so that when he gets to the chorus, he can't go any higher. I'm just checking it now. This song is featuring T. Not sure who that is, not sure what their contribution to the song is either. I don't know, I feel a bit strange about this one. I feel like it's a grower. Like a lot of the elements in this song, the melodies, the very prominent backing vocals, the way he sings yich instead of you, like these are things that upon first listen, yeah, I'm not that crazy about, but I think if I keep listening to this song, it'll probably grow on me. But yeah, so far we've got 2 very different 80s throwbacks. Still impressed. I'm very intrigued. Certainly a lot more intrigued than I was going into this album, so that's nice. Yeah, let's just keep going. See, I'm conflicted. There are things I like and there are things I don't hear. First off, the padded vocals that start off the track, they sound cool, but they're just way too dense in the mix once again. That being said, I do love the bass tone on this one. I think that sound is really neat. Really though, the draw for this song is the backing vocals. Tory Lanez is soaring on these instrumentals. It seems like there was a lot of care and time put into shaping these elements, yet the mix is kind of taking away from that, and I feel like some of these elements are getting lost. But yeah, still pretty solid overall. Let's keep going. So this song has the most streams out of any song on the record, and I can definitely see why. Like, this sounds like a Weeknd track, and he was probably inspired by The Weeknd on this, like heavily inspired. There's these crunchy drums that really drive the groove here. I think it's a neat sound. If I'm being honest though, I think The Weeknd could have taken advantage of this instrumental a lot more. I do like the song overall though. Tory's delivery is a bit clearer, which I could definitely appreciate. I don't know, this one more so than the others feels like an AI-generated pop song, which is not necessarily a bad thing, it just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't feel very human. I say that because, as is common for the rest of the record, I feel like some of the lines have these very clunky endings to them where he either rushes or drags a sentence to fit it into a bar. Yeah, there's a lot of strange elements in this song that I can't help but be intrigued by. If I'm being honest though, I think the chorus is just alright on this song, certainly in comparison to the pre-chorus. I like the pre-chorus way more for some reason. Like, listen to the line where he slides down on rain. Oh! Throughout this album, I find his pre-chorus melodies really effortlessly slide through the chord progressions, which to me is a mark of a good pop song. As well, there's a little saxophone interlude that breaks up the different choruses, and there's a sax solo that just ends the song entirely. Thank you for that. It's just a rule of life. 90% of songs benefit from a sax solo. That's just how it is. I think this song is emblematic of the entire record in the sense that, yes, it's a banger, yes, it's good, it sounds good on my ears, but I don't know, something's missing. I feel like it could be better. Let's move on though. I'm curious to see where he takes this.
What are you waiting for? You got me lost in the clutch of you.
This is a much darker and more sporadic instrumental than what we've heard previously. Where the instrumental is kind of this cool dark side of the 80s, I feel like the lyrics, especially in the verse, are kind of the corny, sexual side of the 80s. I think a few of these lines could have benefited from just like a small rewrite or something. They're not as cool as they could be. All of that is made up for in the chorus though, which, my goodness, it hits you like a freight train. This song has half the streams from the last one, but I think the chorus hits way harder. I find the mix on this one is nicer too. I think it just, I don't know, it builds on itself quite nicely. This is a solid track. As a really minor nitpick, one small thing I picked up on is that this track and a few of the others on the album just kind of abruptly stop when it ends. Like, I wish there was an extra 2 seconds on the song so that it could just nicely fade out into the next one. You know what I mean? Such a minor detail. It's still there though, so I thought I'd share it with you. But yeah, this is a pretty good song. Let's keep going. This is like kind of his version of Danger Zone or something. I feel like where Lavender Sunflower was that corny version of sexy I was talking about, this feels a lot more 80s, more optimistic, more hopeful. Well, I guess they're both 80s. I don't know what I'm talking about here. As for the song itself though, this one just doesn't hit as hard. Even though the instrumental's great, it seems to be locked in one mode. He doesn't want to branch out of that. The chorus doesn't get as big as it should. Now that I think about it, the chorus just sounds like one of the verses. Again, there's a saxophone that returns here. It's great for 80s pop. It sounds good. But I don't know, this one's just okay. Like, it doesn't do much for me. Probably not going to be in my top 5. Let's keep going. So Genius is telling me this is a follow-up to a song he did called Lady of Neptune. Apparently the album that Lady of Neptune is on came out in the same year as this record. That is nuts. Oh my goodness, I just looked it up too. He released 8 albums over the last 4 years. This guy doesn't take a break. As for the song itself, yeah, it's pretty good. I feel like of all the tracks on this album, I think this one will probably grow on me the most. It's got that Eddie Murphy Party All the Time bass line. Gotta love that. It's interesting too that it's the only explicit song on the album, and it's conveniently the one about prom. Because of COVID, I never actually had a high school prom. I think I turned out alright. But yeah, it's kind of funny how film and media makes prom out to be like literally the best, like the most important night of your life. When in reality, you just like... Going back to the song, I think the pre-chorus, once again, is great. It rides the groove very well. I think the groove is great, but, you know, I'm at the point in the record where I feel like something is starting to feel off. I don't know what it is yet. I'm not sure if it's in his vocal delivery, or, like, the way his vocals are mixed, or just the mix in general. I don't think it's the instrumentals, because, like I said, I think those are pretty banging. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong. I just feel off, and it might take some time to figure that out. For now, let's not worry about that. One minor nitpick, there's a point in this song where he says a B sound, and it clips. Listen to this. My brain and my... Right there. You hear that? It's an unrelated issue. I still took note of it, though. I'm still happy with this, though. I'm still impressed. Let's just go on. I call her my baby with Did he just rickroll us? Quick comparison.
Call me crazy, there's no surprise. And so do I.
You hear that, surely. So yeah, this is his Never Gonna Give You Up down to the melody. This song is pretty good. The vocals are no longer drowned in that reverb and delay, so I can actually hear what he's saying. I just think his voice sounds so much better without it, or the mix behind his voice isn't doing anything to help with those effects, so by taking those effects away, it gives it more room. It's nice. I feel like this song isn't grabbing me as much as some of the other ones, but I will say it is well constructed, it is good pop music. I think the pre-choruses are great, but they sound worse given the musical context surrounding them. Like, they sound too similar to the verses and too similar to the choruses for me to, remember it as much, He could have also used the words Pluto's last comet in the chorus. Now that I think about it, none of these songs are actually including their titles. Why? What? That makes zero sense. Like, I've never heard a pop album do that before. I don't like that. But Nick, you're a fan of Kendrick Lamar, and he did Untitled Unmastered, and he made all the songs untitled. But yeah, they're untitled. They're unfinished. No wonder I can't remember any of these songs. They all just kind of mesh together because none of the songs have identifiable names, especially for the 80s. 80s songs have a hook, a one-liner, something to really grab you, to remember it. This has nothing, though. Like, it still sounds good on the ears, but there's nothing. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. I think it's too simple almost. I can give Pluto's Last Comet a chance on this one, but this one I think is too simple. The album to this point sounds nice, but I no longer have strong feelings about these songs. The music just kind of exists, and it's not really keeping my attention in the way I'd like it to. I don't know, man. This one isn't my favorite. It just kind of exists. Let's keep going.
She's found someone who's good. Takes you to every party.
Are you hearing what I'm hearing? Let's play that again.
Takes you to every party. Just take you to every party, 'cause
Come on. Yeah, so the Bruno Mars thing happens, and then in the chorus, his vocal delivery completely switches. It's like this song is an identity crisis. Lots of repetition in here. The whole time the chorus is just going like, why does it hurt so bad? And then in one of the verses, he goes like, you rejected me so bad. I think some of these lines could have benefited from more variety or maybe perspective. This song, to me, lyrically offers a very one-note perspective on a situation. It's, oh, I'm sad. Oh, you're gone? Yeah, I'm sad. Hey, did I mention I'm sad? As a pop listener, I'll be the first to say a lot of songs are very simple like that, but at least, I don't know, they usually aren't as repetitive when tackling a single emotion. Maybe they are, I don't know. I'm not that big a fan of it here. Yeah, it still sounds good, but it's not really reaching its full potential. I do think the first half of this record is better, but let's check out the last song. So now this is just kind of his version of Super Freak, or Beat It, or a different 80s hit. I don't know, he's just kind of, let me do this 80s hit, let me do this one. Again, great vocals. Again, great instrumentals. This one, very horny, certainly very corny. I'm gonna get you good tonight, baby, by the fire with the wood tonight, baby. Do I have to spell that one out for you? Sure, that is a little bit silly. There are some good moments, though, in the song where the drums pull back and Tory just goes off singing for 30 seconds. I like these moments because, one, Tory sounds amazing, but two, it shifts the momentum in an interesting way before bringing it back to what we know previously. I like that. I think that's good pop writing. This song is well fitting for an 80s thing, fitting for just an album closer in general, has a fade-out. I like that. However, the fade-out is, I kid you not, 40 seconds long. Why? The fade-out is way too long. Remember I had that criticism about how a lot of the songs just cut off out of nowhere? This, is trying to overcompensate for that. No good. I don't like that, but I think the song overall is pretty solid. Okay, that's it for the album. Let's get into some takeaways. Alright, so let's unpack the good here because I do think there is a lot of it. I love the pairing of Tory's voice and the 80s. I think it fits very well. Like, he really soars on these instrumentals. Again, the instrumentals are fantastic. Structurally speaking, these songs are very tight. They leave no room for breaks. That's always good. It's loud, it's explosive, it's fun, it's how 80s music is and was. I think Tory's writing is quite good at times, especially in those pre-choruses. I think he takes advantage of that very well. Man, I don't think there was a pre-chorus on this album I did not enjoy. That being said, I think some of the pre-choruses did take a hit based on how they were sandwiched into the songs. Yeah, I think the verses and the choruses oftentimes took away from all that good writing I was talking talking about. Sometimes it just didn't feel like there was a separation of these elements, which meant the choruses, these big moments, weren't as big as they should have been. Transitioning into more critical thoughts here, I have a feeling that if Tory Lanez tried doing an album like this again, he couldn't do better. I don't know, this project, rather than like an artistic statement or anything, just feels like Tory going, okay, I like this 80s song, give it to me. I like this 80s song, let me try that one. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it certainly isn't for me, but if you're a music listener who likes meaning in these works, then I don't think you're gonna find much here. Same thing can be said about those song titles. I still don't get that. This is the 80s, we need a hook, we need a one-liner, we need something that'll get us remembering these songs so that we come back, and I don't find that here. Going back to Tory himself, I think his delivery is a bit questionable at times. Again, his voice is phenomenal, but there's a lot of times where I think he tries to squeeze a line into a bar where it doesn't fit. So a lot of the time I'm getting these well-sung bars on these great instrumentals that just kind of, I don't know, they feel off to me. Speaking of that clunky delivery, in hindsight, I think those reverb and delay effects on the vocals kind of take away from his singing a lot. Going back to Pluto's last comment, not my favorite track on the album necessarily, but it certainly is good given that you can actually hear what he's saying. In no particular order, these are my 5 favorite tracks on the album. I feel as though these capture the 80s moment, that 80s power, that 80s vibe, just the best on this project. Yeah, okay, so where does that leave us? Well, personally, again, I'm conflicted. I want to like this album more than I do. I feel a couple of things are holding me back, though. I had more production problems in the first half, whereas in the second half, I had a lot more problems with the form and the structure and the lyrics. I still really enjoyed this as a full album. I do think there's a lot of room for improvement, though, so I'd give it like, I don't know, a 6 out of 10. I feel like that's justified. To be honest, this is a pretty strong outing from a guy that I didn't know could do it at all, so yeah, I'm still very impressed. I think with the right team of people, this concept could be taken a lot further. Will it be taken further by him? I don't think so. But yeah, I definitely want him to prove me wrong on that, so yeah, do it. Yeah, that's it for the album. Thanks, Michael, for the suggestion. If you have any ideas for future videos, put them down below. I'm happy to look at them. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and have a good one.